All right, let's get into our busts. So quarterback bust. I got Heath. Let's go Heath's list first here. You've got Joe Burrow at quarterback. He's going 37th overall in ADP. Is he what, a QB5? Is he just after Lamar Jackson or basically tied with Lamar Jackson? Your thoughts on Burrow?
Yeah, I think there's actually a difference when it comes to half PPR versus full PPR. Which one of those guys is 4 or 5? And that doesn't make any sense at all. But I can't take him, especially in leagues. And again, all these Fantasy Pros ADPs are 4 points per pass touchdown leagues. I can't take him ahead of Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields in a league that only rewards 4 points per pass touchdown, especially when he's not even 100% yet and not guaranteed to play week 1. I do think that Burrow is, for me right now, he's QB7 just behind Justin Herbert. If he was 100% right now, he would be QB6 and right behind Fields and Lamar. But that's in 6 point per pass touchdown leagues. There's a bigger gap here. More importantly, I don't really think Lamar or Burrow or Fields should be going at that 3-4 turn. I like Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts at the end of round 2, and then I think there should be a 2-round gap before we get to the next quarterback. I'd be looking at the end of round 4 before I took my QB4, whoever it was.
All right, so you're saying even in a 6 point per passing touchdown league, Joe Burrow would be QB6 if he were 100% healthy right now?
Yes.
Okay. Dave, do you agree with this bust call?
Yeah, it's too soon to take any of these quarterbacks, and I agree that Burrow, Fields, and Jackson, which is how I have them ranked, should be late round 4 picks. Not even round 5. Late round 4 is where to go with them. I'm projecting Burrow like he's going to be okay. The fact that he's already starting to throw, again, he's got a month to get ready. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah.
So I am projecting a little bit that Joe Burrow will get in plenty of practice before week 1, and he will be his usual fireballing self. Oh, and I also agree that he should be behind these guys in 4 point per passing touchdown leagues.
Do you agree that he should be behind Fields and Jackson?
No,
6?
No, okay. He should be ahead of them.
Running back, Heath's running back busts. Nick Chubb. Let's just stop. I'll give you the list. Chubb at 13th overall, RB5. Naji Harris, 29th. Breece Hall, 33rd. Ken Walker, 46th. We talked about both of them. Alvin Kamara, 57th. Dalvin Cook, 65th. I'm not sure I believe that ADP anymore. I'd like to know what it is. Actually, maybe I do, because a lot of people actually prefer him to Breece Hall. But this ADP is from way before the signing with the Jets. So anyways, Cook at 65, Pacheco at 70. I'll say all the names again, but we'd have to spend some time on Nick Chubb. Calling him a bust at 13th overall. Maybe this is not a guy that has to be a full round worse than his ADP. You tell me, where should Nick Chubb go in full PPR?
I think I have him exactly a full round. I think I have him at 25th. So he's going at the 1-2 turn. I have him at the 2-3 turn. I just think expecting him to finish RB5 in full PPR is basically expecting Nick Chubb in his age 28 season to have a career year. And I'm not willing to project that. He gets hidden a little bit in the guys that we worry about falling off, because he's going to begin the year as age 27. He doesn't turn 28 until later in the year. But I do think he's really never been a pass catcher. He had 36 catches as a career high, and that was in a full 16-game season. I don't think he's going to help you that much in that regard. He's kind of been up and down in terms of touchdowns. He's missed some games because of injury already. Listen, he's one of the greatest runners in the NFL of the last 5 years. I'm not trying to disparage Nick Chubb as a runner, but if the Browns are going to throw the ball a lot more because they have Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson's probably going to run more based on what we saw in the preseason than any quarterback Nick Chubb's played with, I'm not sure there's a huge increase in volume coming, even with Kareem Hunt gone. I don't want to bet on a running back at 28 years old having a career year.
Heath and I got to the same place, different ways. I think Chubb is going to see potentially the type of target share that he had in 2019, which was 3.1 targets per game, 2.3 catches per game. He finishes RB11 that year at 15.1 PPR points per game. I am expecting Chubb to share some of that passing downs work with Jerome Ford. I think that team likes Jerome Ford. They did not, he wasn't 100%, so they didn't play him in the preseason game against Washington. But I think you're going to see Ford out there. I was impressed with Deshaun Watson and how comfortable he seemed in the offense. His stats weren't great. He looked good. He admitted after the game that last year he was not comfortable. This year he is. And I have the same feeling that Heath does, that this Browns team is going to throw more than they ever have under Kevin Stefanski. They've been below 55% pass rate each of 3 years with Stefanski. I think they open it up. And Chubb just had a career year. 1,764 total yards, 13 touchdowns. It helped that he played 17
When would
games.
you take him, Dave?
I'm closer to ADP than Heath is. I would still say he's fine at like anywhere between, 16th or later. Let's just say that.
What about in half PPR?
A little bit higher than that. And in non-PPR, he's a first-round pick.
Agreed in non-PPR for sure. If I was using and I don't know where he is in half PPR. If I was using half PPR ADP, I don't think I would have been a full round behind him. I think he's 10th maybe in half PPR, and I'd probably be closer to 16th in half PPR. But I just don't think. I think there's a little bit more risk than people are acknowledging, and I don't think he's going to have a huge role in the passing game. But that's again part of my projections process. I have a hard time when a guy's established in the league for 5 years, projecting them to do something they've never really done.
Deshaun has a 15.8% career running back target rate. 1 year of his career, he threw over 20% of his targets to a running back, and it was last season in Cleveland.
For reference, 15.8% is extremely low.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. Where do you have him in non-PPR, Heath? I've got Nick Chubb at 7th overall.
That sounds about right.
Okay. There was one time before Kareem Hunt was there, first 8 games of 2019, Chubb was on pace for 53 catches. That
was the 2019 season.
Right, but you got to split that up because half the season he had Kareem Hunt, half the season he didn't. Hunt was suspended for the first 8 games. There was a huge drop in his catches once Hunt came aboard. Naji Harris at 29. I know you do not like that at all. When would you take Naji Harris, Heath?
He's a round 4 pick for me. I've got him at RB 17 in full PPR. Just moved Jahmyr Gibbs ahead of him. I've been a little bit low on Gibbs as well. But yeah, I think that I can see why people are excited about him because the offensive line should be better, and he has seen a ton of work. I've said this 100 times over the summer, so I don't know if I need to say it again, but there hasn't been a running back who has received 600 touches in their first 2 seasons and been as bad as both a rusher and a receiver as Naji Harris, who's ever had more than one top 20 season again for the rest of their career.
Oh, it's an amazing stat. All right. So Dave, where would you take Naji Harris as you've been?
I have Harris as a late round 3 pick in full PPR.
All right. Alvin Kamara at 57 overall. What do you think? That's too early, Heath?
That's why I put him on the bust list. I've got him at the end. I've got him at the end of round 6. I know you were encouraged by how he looked, and he did. Like I think that's part of the equation is he's been so much less efficient his past 2 seasons, both in terms of all 3 yards per carry, yards per target, yards per touch, have not been the same guy. And now he's got Jamal Williams and Taysom Hill both to deal with in the red zone. And maybe they're going to throw it a whole lot more, but I'm not convinced of that. And even if they do, I think it's probably because they have Michael Thomas healthy. And if both Chris Olave and Michael Thomas are healthy and on the field, I don't think Kamara's target share is going to be what it was in the heyday of Drew Brees because Derek Carr will be able to throw the ball more than 5 yards down the field. And so I think there's a lot of risk for a running back his age who's already shown signs of decline and isn't going to play the first 3 weeks of the season. And I'm not sure the same upside exists.
Yeah, I know we like James Conner better than him. He's going after Alvin Kamara. Do we like Cam Akers and Rachaad White better than Alvin Kamara?
White, yes. Akers, no, in full PPR.
I agree with that, but I have Kamara and Akers 70 and 71. So like, it's not, okay. I'm not far off.
Do we
like Kamara or Breece Hall?
Kamara.
Me too.
Do we like DeAndre Swift better than Kamara?
No.
All right. Why is Isaiah Pacheco on your bust list?
Well, another guy who is not healthy, and even when he was healthy last year, was not really very good for fantasy purposes. He's like the definition of a trap back. He's not going to catch hardly any passes. He we know what the Chiefs do in the red zone. It all kinds of crazy stuff, except for hand it off to a running back and have him plunge into the line of scrimmage. And so I don't think you can project him for a good touchdown season. And he's a guy who was a 7th round pick and could be replaced at literally any moment. And I don't think he's even been on the practice field so far this preseason.
Okay. So would you take Samaje Perine over him?
By a lot.
David Montgomery, I know you like him. These guys are going after him. How about AJ Dillon or Perine? Or no, sorry, or Pacheco?
It's Dillon for me because I think they profile for the same number of touches. Dillon might actually have a goal line role, though.
All right. We got to take a break here. We have a lot more names. We haven't even got to Dave's busts yet. Wide receivers, tight ends, and then all of Dave's busts after this on Fantasy Football Today. Let's take a look at Heath's wide receiver busts other than DK Metcalf, who we discussed. There's only one other name here. It's Amari Cooper. He's going 41st overall. He is 29 years old. He was wide receiver 19 per game last season. And that is, let's see, Cooper is wide receiver for 18 this season. So why is this too early for Amari Cooper?
I just think he's being drafted pretty close to his ceiling. And there's a risk that, there's been people that have said that Elijah Moore is the wide receiver 1 on this team. I don't have it projected that way, and I don't think that that's what it's going to be, but I do think it's a possibility. I don't think that the 25%, definitely 20%, but up to 26, 27% tight end target share is going to change all that much in Kevin Stefanski's system. You know how I feel about tight end buckets. And so I think Cooper is chopping up those wide receiver targets with better target competition. And you can only start him for like 8 or 9 games because you can't start him when he's on the road.
All right. So
And I think everybody, like all of us, Dave and Jamie like him more. Sportsline likes him more, but we all have him ranked lower than where he's being drafted.
Yeah, a little bit. But who has more upside that's going behind him, behind Cooper?
Well, I don't have the list. Why don't you give me a list of the wide receivers who are being drafted?
All right.
Behind
Well,
him.
some of them are obvious. Keenan Allen.
Yep.
Terry McLaurin. Like I don't think so personally.
Nope.
But
Me neither.
I think they're pretty similar.
Hopkins. Have to say yes.
Way more.
DJ Moore.
I would say yes.
Jerry Jeudy.
More.
I don't even like Jerry Jeudy. I have him behind Amari Cooper, and I would say he still has more upside, just a much lower floor.
Yeah, that's the thing. Does Cooper have a high floor? It's not all about upside.
8 to 9 weeks, he does.
All right, let's talk about your tight end busts, and they are Kittle and Waller. No, we won't talk about them. We're not talking about any of your tight end busts. We've already talked about Kittle and Waller.